Alright, hi guys. For this next section, we are going to be calculating out the number of native and non-native plants in our section, and not the number of individual plants, but more the total number of native versus non-native species in our different plots. So you could pretty much look at this and figure it out for yourself, but there is an easy formula that you can do as well. And once we do it in just this box here and this box here, we'll be able to copy and paste that to all of our other sections. And that way later on, if our data changes or we enter different data into here, we use this table for something else, the formula is already set for us to use. So one thing that's really important to remember is that we have to use the same codes in here that everybody else is using and that we use in all of our other boxes. So if you're looking at a data table, like yours here, and you have native or non-native, something like that written here. This group, they just wrote non. That's fine for here, but when we put it onto our spreadsheet here, we need to use the same code as everybody else. So up above here in the gray, I say what code to use. For native, we're going to type in just the N, and for non-native, we'll type in NN. Okay. So for Himalayan blackberry, that's non-native. We type in NN, which is already there. Reed canary grass, again, non-native, NN. And then for the sedge rush, if you had that one in your plot, that is actually a native plant, so that would be N. Pretty straightforward there. If you have any questions as to whether something is native or not native, ask me if you're unsure at all. If it's reed canary grass, it's not native, so be sure to put that there. Any of the grasses we had on our sample plots, aside from this sedge rush, were not native. Okay. Now that we've got that entered here in these boxes, we then are going to do our formula down here. For total number of native species, we're going to put it into the green box there. So the total number of native species, we are going to use a formula. So the formula is this, equals, and then you're going to type in the words count if. You can see it right there, and it gives you some options, some pop-ups here. So count if. And what we're telling it is, well, I'll explain it. Count if, and then you're going to do a parenthesis, and then you're going to select all of these cells in here, cells B5 all the way down through B11. Even though we have data just in the top three, we want to select all of the cells in case we were to add data later. It would calculate that. So sorry, C5 through C11, and then you're going to hit parenthesis or comma, space, and then a quote, an open quote. And for this one, we're counting the total number of native species, so it's N. Count if N, and then another quote, and then a closed parenthesis. So you can see the formula right here. It says equals count if parenthesis C5 colon C11, so that's count all these cells here, everything in there, then a comma, a space, and then a quote mark, N, and then a quote mark, and then a parenthesis to close it. This is saying count if there's an N in any of these cells here. That's what you're telling it to do. And when you hit enter, and it should give us a number, drum roll, 1. Okay. Yes, we could have figured that out, but that tells us there's only one N in here. Now, if we were to change this, or to add another one, say add an N there, it would change that to a 2 there. So count if N, we can go ahead and add things in there later. For the one below it, now we're going to count the total number of non-native species. What do you think we're going to do here? Well, I can't really hear you, so I'm going to go ahead and answer it myself. Okay, count if, select the same range of cells, this is called your range when you pick out any group of numbers that you're going to be counting in, comma, quote, count if NN, non-native, and then a parenthesis, and there's our formula. So we put equals, count if, parenthesis, then C5 colon C11, so all those cells in there that are lit up orange right here, comma, and then space, quote, NN, quote, and then a parenthesis, enter, 2. Okay, so that is our formulas there for counting the total number of native species and non-native species. Okay, for total number of species, what we can do here is equals, and we could just quickly, oops, sum these two. And I know he's thinking 1 and 2, I can do that. But again, let's just do a formula, and then we can copy paste that formula down. And it'll change if our numbers change then, so it'll self-correct itself. Okay, so there are our formulas. Total number of species is equal to the sum of C13 and C14, right here, these two. That's what that is. Now that we have our formulas entered in here, what we can do is we can copy and paste this into each of our other little data tables for our different sample plots. So I'm going to select all 3 of these. All 3 of those cells have been selected. And then I'm going to hit Control-C to copy. And you're just going to scroll down here to the next one, and you could just select 3 of those. Control-V. Select 3 of these. Now if you notice here, come back to it, but in sample plot 3 we've got some different numbers, so we've got some different numbers here because it's calculating using a formula. So we're not copying and pasting numbers, we're copying and pasting a formula. I'm selecting all of these and then I'm hitting Control-V to paste. None in there yet. And Control-V there. Paste. Okay. I think that's about it. So go ahead and enter in all your data. Make sure you've got the codes N for non-native and N for native. And you do that every single time in all of your tables. No words in here, just the codes. Once you have that, and you've done this first set of formulas, and you've double-checked them, make sure they're correct, you can select them, copy them, and then paste them down into each of these sections in each of your different sample plot tables. And you should be done. All right, thanks.